Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Not so much breaking news. Sorry for the late video. I was at the gym trying to get an early workout in, having a good conversation via text message with Coach Jay, and then he says, Boogie, duty calls. You're going to have to leave that gym. You got to get back home because we've got some good news, and that is a commitment from four-star interior offensive lineman Nick Moore. He makes it official on Twitter. You can see there he says, first, I would like to thank God for making this all possible because through him I have been blessed with this opportunity. I would also like to thank all the coaches and teams for taking the time to host my family and I throughout this recruiting process. I have learned a tremendous amount and truly appreciate all that has been done for me and my family. With that being said, I would like to announce my official commitment to the University of Tennessee. In-state kid out of Jefferson County in Dandridge, Tennessee. He's a four-star prospect just outside the top 300, and I think we're about to see some momentum in recruiting for Tennessee. Huge weekend last weekend. Nick Moore was in town for his official visit for that. Got a big weekend coming up this weekend. If you missed the live stream last night, we talked about all of it. We were live for about an hour and a half breaking down all the key targets coming out of last weekend and also going into this upcoming weekend. So I would encourage you, if you missed that, go back and give it a watch. But we're going to get into Nick Moore because one of the things that we hear about Josh Heupel and his recruiting strategy is that he's too laid back. He's not aggressive enough. He doesn't try to force these kids into a decision. Is that the right approach? Is that the wrong approach? We're going to get into it. We're also going to talk about what Nick Moore brings to the table. But as always, I need you guys to do that YouTube stuff. Smash the thumbs up for me just below the video. It is quick. It's also free. And it's easy, and it helps this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We don't have the scoop. That's why sometimes the videos are a little late coming out, but that's okay because this is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. We got a live stream commitment coming up on Saturday. Charles House is scheduled to come off the board, so make sure you're dialed in for that. I think Sunday at 2. The volunteer baseball team, taking care of a little business, are going to be in the College World Series final. Think we're going to do a watch party for that on Sunday's afternoon game, so make sure you get in for that. But let's talk a little bit about Nick Moore. Again, he is a four-star prospect, 321st nationally, but again, an in-state kid. And this is an elite player. You're just outside the top 300. You're not going to piece together an offensive line that's just full of five-stars. They don't grow on trees. That's just not the reality. And I think Nick Moore was a priority. Josh Heupel went and got his man. And again, it's interesting. We're going to talk about his recruitment and all that. It's going to be a fun conversation that I want to get into with you guys. There's no scouting report at 247 Sports or at On 3, but VolQuest did put out an article and got a quote from his head coach and former Tennessee Volunteer Spencer Riley. He said Tennessee is getting a great young man. As a football player, he is a support smart kid that understands the game. He will do a good job of picking up the offense. Super smart. He is physical and a football kid at the end of the day. As a junior, the light switch came on and the physicality was unmatched. It was just fun to watch him be physical on people that were as big as he is. He is a great kid that comes from a great family. He goes on to say he will learn everything that he needs to know because he is that kind of student of the game. He's so big and physical, he will be able to handle the nose or shade on him by himself. As he gets stronger and physical in the program, he is going to be a road grading type of guy. Again, that was his head coach, former Vol Spencer Riley, talking about Nick Moore and what he brings to the table. One thing I like just watching this film, he finishes blocks, and he's also, he shows off his athleticism. He's a guy that plays defensive line, also offensive line, and that was part of the recruitment, right? When we talk about Josh Heupel and his laid-back approach, let's go back and kind of recap what happened. West Virginia was putting the pressure on Nick Moore to go ahead and get in the boat. Go ahead and make your decision. Pops up on Twitter that Nick Moore is going to commit that night. We were about to go live. This was last Wednesday. We were going live that night. I said, hey, man, we got a good opportunity here. We can talk some recruiting. Nick Moore is going to jump in the boat, go to VolQuest. Austin Price says if he's committing tonight, it's not going to be for the good guys. But Austin Price kept putting it out throughout that thread saying he's not made a decision yet. We'll see if he makes a decision. This coaching staff continued to work on Nick Moore because he was scheduled to come into town this past weekend for his official visit. West Virginia was pressuring him with timelines. They were offering him the opportunity to play on the defensive line. Would they stick to that, or were they using that as a recruiting tactic? Josh Heupel, again, more laid back, come in town, come hang out, and that's what he did. He did put out a quote that said, I can see myself playing on the offensive line because I've been thinking about it for a while. I always thought I was going to go be a defensive person, but my head coach surprise, surprise, former VFL, Spencer Riley, was always telling me that I could be phenomenal on the offensive line because I have the agility of a defensive lineman and I have a good stance in the form of an offensive lineman. So I think sometimes Josh Heupel's laid-back approach may benefit Tennessee in the world of recruiting. They offered back on May the 10th. It was a late offer, but he was excited because, again, he's an in-state kid. He said, I was excited about the offer because UT, it's our home college town. They're right up the road 45 minutes. UT has always been a place that I had an admiration for because we're so close. Everybody around here is big UT fans. They all go to Thompson Bowling Arena, stuff like that for concerts and things. UT is just the center of where we're at, and to be able to have the opportunity to play for them seems like a dream. So after Tennessee offered, he came in town for 865 Live, and one of the things for me that I'm looking at, that 865 Live event, VolQuest kind of reported that he has a very similar personality to David Sanders. Him and David Sanders really hit it off, and the narrative there was that kind of helps in Nick Morris recruitment. Well, why does that help in Nick Morris recruitment? Because I think that David Sanders is trending to Tennessee. Is he a silent commit? I don't know that I believe that. Coach Rice said last night on the live stream that he thinks that David Sanders is a silent commit, but I do think that Tennessee is trending there. I think they've set themselves up nicely. I think the relationship with George McIntyre, I think the way that this coaching staff has shown love to his family, I think, when you see things that George McIntyre is saying in the media, it certainly seems like that relationship has paid off. And then you hear that the family's letting David Sanders drive from Charlotte to Knoxville so he can get used to that commute to college. You got to hold off Ohio State. David Sanders is going to be visiting them. They get the final visit. Can Tennessee get it done? But they do have Nick Moore in the boat. That jumps them up to 14th overall with on 3. And again, is 14th good enough? No. But guess what? Austin Price over at VolQuest said, hammer the over for 3.5 commits before the end of June. Boys, it's June the 20th. We got one coming up again on Saturday with Charles House, a 4-star defensive lineman, 6'3", 288 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. He was a guy that was trending to Tennessee. It was all about the Big Orange Country. Then he takes the visit to Alabama. He comes out of that visit. He says the message to me was that they want me there. They made me feel like I'm supposed to be there. They made me feel like I had been there for months. He said, Alabama helped themselves. I leave this visit with them at the top of my list. He went to Georgia on June the 7th, went on to say the same thing about Georgia, but now coming out of this thing, it sounds like it is Georgia and Tennessee fighting at the top, and Alabama is trailing them. That decision is coming up on Saturday morning, so make sure you're dialed in, tuned in. We're going to be covering that live. Once we have the time, I will let you guys know, but I think Tennessee's got a big opportunity in recruiting coming up this weekend. Again, we kind of covered all this on the live stream last night, but if you did miss it, go back and give it a watch. You talk about the wide receiver position. 4-star wide receiver Travis Smith is going to be in town. He's a top 100 player. He's set to commit on July the 13th. Said it would be a dream come true to catch passes as a true freshman from Nico Iamaliava. 4-star safety Shady Hayward. He calls himself the best safety in the country. He was all Tennessee. He was here for 865 Live. He said the only reason I'm there is to help Tennessee recruit. He takes a Georgia visit, calls Georgia the leader, takes a South Carolina visit, calls the Gamecocks the leader, takes a Florida visit, calls Florida the leader. Is he trolling? Is he playing NIL games? He is going to be in town this weekend, set to come off the board on July the 27th. And then Onis Conanbanny, a 4-star cornerback, said Florida State is the flat-out leader. This is shortly after saying Tennessee was the flat-out leader. He took visits to North Carolina, Penn State. He'll be in town this weekend. Tennessee's got the opportunity for the last shot, the last swing. Can they shift that momentum back with Onis Conanbanny? But I think we got Deshaun Brame coming off the board at the end of the month, so those are a couple of opportunities coming up. Do we have another wild card like Nick Moore, somebody that pulls the trigger and jumps in the boat without scheduling that commitment? Stay tuned in, stay dialed in. We'll continue to talk about it right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Do me a favor, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. The link to that is in the description. If you like the content, the live streams, the videos, the community aspect, if you really want to support this channel, think about hitting that join button. It's right beside subscribe. You can do that for just $1 a month. Somebody in an earlier video said, where are you guys getting these emojis at? Well, you got to be a member of the channel. You can use those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis in the chat or in the comment section. But that's going to do it for this one. Apologize, the video's a little late. That's what happens when it's for the fans, by the fans. But this is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.